Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today I will be beating Dark Souls 1 with only the Lifehunt Scythe. Now, the Lifehunt Scythe in Dark Souls 1, unlike Dark Souls 3, is an actual weapon, so the challenge is going to be a little easier because the attacks are generally going to be faster and all that. But I do get bleed buildup every time I hit something, so I do need to worry about that the entire game. So I can't just keep swinging at an enemy. But as you can see there, I'm able to kill the Asylum Demon pretty quickly, but I do lose a bunch of health because I end up hitting so much that I get a bleed proc. So that's the main difficulty of this challenge is I need to gain as much bleed resistance as possible so I can swing as much as possible. And so yeah, let's get started. Because I killed the Asylum Demon early, I was able to get the Big Pilgrim Keep from Oscar, although usually it would just be dropped the second time around that you kill the Asylum Demon. And after using that key, I am taken to Firelink Shrine by the Big Bird. And during this time, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching my content. I've really been appreciating it. My last couple of videos have been doing extremely well. I think they both hit over 1,000 views, which is honestly just incredible. I didn't think that that would really happen, but yeah, no, thank you guys so much. Arriving at the Taurus Demon, I honestly just kind of ran past the archers because I knew that I'd be able to drop the Taurus Demon because I think he's susceptible to bleed, and I was like, I can just kind of let myself get the bleed proc to myself, and I'll probably be able to kill the guy, which was what happened, so moving on. Now, Bell Gargoyles was not very difficult either. Once again, none of these, like, I didn't even really bother upgrading my weapon much. I think I only got to +1, because it wasn't really necessary to upgrade my weapon, because it just does an insane amount of damage. I didn't think it was so good. Honestly, the only reason I did this is just because you guys seemed to enjoy when I did in DS3, so I thought I'd repeat in DS1, but it's a lot easier this time around. Now, Capra Demon was a little tough. I did die to him once, but that was because I just got stuck in a corner with his dogs, which honestly the dogs are harder than the boss most of the time, because the boss you can kind of just, I mean, his attacks are pretty slow, you can kind of just get around him. But yeah, no, he's really not too difficult, especially because it takes only 6 hits to kill him. Moving on. Now, the Gaping Dragon did take a minute because he has a much bigger health bar, and so now is when I actually start having to be careful about how many times I'm hitting a boss, because a blood loss proc is a guaranteed flask. And then as I get more health, it's just going to get even worse because it's like a percentage of your health. So it's just going to be more health as I progress. But yeah, no, this is where you could definitely start to see some increase. But it definitely gets worse. I think Four Kings was challenging. Nito was challenging. Mainly just those two, because Nito, I had to manage all the skeletons, and attacking those skeletons gave me more bleed, and then I couldn't really attack the boss, and then I'd have like a 10-minute attempt or something like that. And then Four Kings was also the problem of I can't swing that much, and so I'll definitely elaborate more when I get to those bosses, but those two were definitely the worst in this run, but they weren't particularly bad. They were pretty easy to get over. It was more just like kind of taking my time with it. That's really all you have to do with this run. Moving on. Now, Quilag's definitely a lot less tanky in my opinion, or I mean around the same amount of tankiness as the Gaping Dragon. And but it's definitely a lot easier. Well, yeah, no. They're both basically the same amount of easiness as I thought about it. Or I mean, that's just me. I used to have a lot of trouble with Quelaag when I used to play Dark Souls casually, and now I just do it every week for a video. I really want to find another like Dark Souls-esque game that I can challenge on. If any of you guys have any that you know of, maybe shoot it down in the description, because I do kind of want something new to play, because I am running out of challenges too. But yeah, no. After a while of just cutting down Quelaag, I was able to kill her. Moving on. Here is where I got my first Titanite scale, because as I looked through the footage, I realized I ended up upgrading twice by killing this guy, and then I think I killed the Titanite demon in Anorlando, like before Ornstein and Smough, because I think that one drops 2, and I think that gives enough for level 2 Scythe, and so I think that's what I did. But yeah, no, that was how I got my first one. Now, Iron Golem was a little bit of a slog, because with him, to be able to knock him off, you need to be able to do a certain amount of damage within a certain amount of time. Like, there's a threshold where he'll start, like, wobbling, but then when he starts wobbling, I need to hit him a bunch of times in a row to get him to start falling over, and I just can't do that because I would get a bunch of bleed buildup. And I was trying my best to not really, because I felt like the run was going to be too easy, I was trying my best to not like kindle any bonfires, kind of just use them the way they are. And so I usually only have like 5 to 10 flasks for most of this run, other than Gwyn, because you are automatically given 20 flasks for him, because the Lord Vessel gives you 20 flasks when you open the gate. And then Nito and Four Kings, because they were just the hardest parts of the run, really. But yeah, no, that's the only times I actually kindled the bonfire. I tried to be relatively modest with my Estus flasks, because I didn't want to just have the whole like downside of the weapon be negated by the fact that I can just spam flasks. Because actually, after you get a blood loss proc, you have like a minute, or you have like not a minute, but like a couple seconds where you can do like where you can keep hitting and not get any more bleed buildup, because you're actively like you actively have a blood loss proc on you. So that definitely would make it easier if I was able to just consistently like let myself bleed, because I just had a lot of health, like a lot of health flasks. But yeah, no, I tried to not overdo that. Now, Ornstein and Smough was not too hard under these rule sets, because you kind of have to play slow anyway. Like, you don't really get many opportunities to get more than like one hit in on any of the duo, especially in the first phase. The second phase, you can sometimes get a window where you can get 2 in because there's only 1 on you. But this phase, it's pretty easy to not get a blood proc, especially because they don't also give bleed. Because that's another problem. If I'm fighting an enemy that deals bleed damage, I need to be careful about getting hit by them, because I could just end up getting my bleed proc hit by them, because I hit a guy a couple times and then got hit by them. But that didn't really happen too often. The only time I can think of that was Nito, but that was only the big skeletons, so as long as I was careful enough to not trigger them, I would be fine, which kind of took a little bit, because it was just a little hard to like try to stay away from the skeletons and fight Nito the whole time. It was pretty hard, but I'll elaborate more when I am actually at that fight. I know I keep saying that, but it's like I should be talking about the current fight, but there isn't much to say here. I mean, it's the average Ornstein and Smough fight, because you really only get in like 1 or 2 hits at a time, and so it's almost like this is just a good weapon for this fight. I don't know if these guys can actually bled though. I'm unsure about that, to be honest. I imagine maybe. I think Ornstein might, or Smough might be able to be bled. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see. I think I did actually just proc it there. So I think he can be bled. Maybe Ornstein can too. I imagine if Smough can be bled, Ornstein can be too. And here's the second night. I almost tried to combine second and Titanite, but Titanite Demon, second Titanite Demon, that I fought for 2, which I think gave me enough for my second upgrade. So I just had a +2 Scythe the entire rest of the game after Ornstein and Smough. Because I did not do this before, because I actually had quite a bit of trouble killing this guy, just because it's such a small room. And then also, like, there are big windows that I could try to hit him multiple times, but I really can't, because I'm trying not to proc bleed here too much because this guy also like chunks my health bar. So I don't want to hit a mean bleed proc on him, or on myself, and then just get hit by him like swinging his thing around. And so it definitely was a struggle. Here I was basically one hit from anything he could deal, so I had to be really careful to not get hit. It's like if I got nicked by one of his attacks, I would have been fine, but yeah, moving on. I'll spare the details of me running all the way over here to knock Cecil's discharge off and just show you when I knocked him off. Now the Demon Fire Sage was not too difficult. I mean, usually I have a hard time with it because its moveset's just kind of annoying, but it's really easy to make this guy bleed, and so I only need to hit him like a couple times and then I bleed proc, and so his health bar just like falls off. It's actually kind of insane how susceptible this guy is to bleed. So yeah, he goes down really easily. Centipede Demon wasn't too hard either. I didn't cheese him this time around just because I considered the weapon was pretty good, and I kind of wanted to fight him normal this time around. Usually I just use the corner cheat because I hate fighting this guy. And I definitely didn't enjoy it this time around either, but I mean, I had 8 Estus flasks because I had 10 left over from when, like at the beginning of the area, I went through the secret wall under Queelag's fight, or like under the bell really, and went to that bonfire because that one gives it 10, and then I just carried those flasks all the way over to here after the fight. But yeah, no, after a while I was able to kill him because I've got a really OP weapon. Moving on. Now with Beta Chaos, I'm just gonna show you guys when I ran to the middle, because usually I die at least twice. I die once after I get one side, and I die the second time after I get the other side. And so I basically always die like 2 times to this boss, which is kind of annoying, but it's really not too bad. Now, because I wasn't really planning on upgrading my weapon much, I decided to just kill Andre for the Crest of Artorias so I wouldn't have to pay 20,000 souls for it. And with my newfound crest, I went and fought Great Grey Wolf Scythe. It was really unfortunate I had to come by here, and it was a very quick fight. But, I just had to put old Pupper down, unfortunately. Now, the Scythe fight did not take very long, especially because I feel like, I did really good damage, especially because Scythe just has a crit point, but for a minute I did forget that I had to re-break the crystal every time I fight the dragon. But as soon as I remembered to break that again, I was able to just kind of sit there and do damage. But because I only have 5 flasks, I kind of need to back off. But, I mean, you definitely need to back off from Scythe quite a lot, so it does give a good opportunity for me to just lose, some of my like blood scale. But I mean, I'm able to just kind of whack down Scythe pretty quick. I even like just take the blood loss a couple times just to kill them faster. Moving on. Now, I was really afraid for Pinwheel because I heard he was the hardest boss in the game, but I was able to get him down in 4 hits, so it wasn't too bad. Moving on. Now, as you'll see, well, I also like fought this guy for like 2 hours. But my strategy was really just to avoid fighting the skeletons as much as humanly possible. I learned that honestly, it's not even worth it to fight them because the bleed they give you is kind of like negligible compared to how much you get every time you like get a hit. And you can also just get Nito to kill them sometimes, and so I really just kind of relied on Nito to use the right attacks, which didn't happen a lot. So most of the time, I was just on the back pedal, trying to not get killed. But it definitely was. It wasn't, I mean, I was able to, I don't know, I was able to get him to sometimes kill what I needed. So it wasn't like impossible. It definitely was not very difficult. But I mean, the skeletons were a little incooperative. They'd kind of move out the way for some reason. And sometimes they just wouldn't die when I feel like they were supposed to. But usually after he does one of those big blasts like he just did, I was able to get in like 1 good hit. Sometimes I would also just decide to kill the skeletons if they were just sitting in my way, like that one guy back there was just in my way. But as you can see, it definitely is a struggle to have these skeletons on you the whole time, and you really can't do anything about it. Because a really unfortunate thing about the scythe is the attack is like more vertical. Like, I mean, the heavy is a horizontal swipe, but I don't really use heavy attacks much. I definitely did a risky play there by getting the bleed proc off, but I was able to get a lot of damage that I needed to kill him, so that was good. And I was actually able to kill him this time around. Moving on. Now, the 4 kings was pretty difficult. I even died a couple times on the way down, because I would just end up clipping one of those platforms, but on the actual fight, it definitely was a bit of a struggle, because as you can see here, 3 hits and I get a blood loss proc, and I mean, I do solid damage to the kings, which isn't bad, but I definitely will need to kill all 4. And even trying to do the strategy where you kind of hit them as they die, that would still give me like bleed stacks anyway. So doing that's kind of useless, because then I just end up giving myself a bleed proc. I mean, I guess it's useful if there's like no other kings around, so I could just kind of keep wailing, but I mean, most of this fight I was dealing with 2 kings, to be honest, because my damage was just going to be behind. Like, I have to wait for my bleed status to go down before I can attack, to not just lose half my health bar. So I do really have to be careful about, like, when I'm attacking, if I can even attack, and when I am, like, choosing to attack, when it's gonna... Because sometimes it's good to, when you have the chance, get yourself the blood loss proc, and then back up to heal, like maybe when you're about to kill a king. Like, if you know you can kill a king by just wailing on him, just do that if you can afford to actually get the blood loss proc and not just outright die because of it. And if you can, then just beat him to death. And then I think I also need to fight 5 kings. I think I did like such little damage I needed to fight 5 kings for some reason, which was a little weird, but moving on. Now, honestly, one of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 1, Gwyn. I did the basic strategy of just parry to death, and then mainly just worry about dodging only if he does the grab attack, otherwise just kind of try to parry. And that works really well. As you can see, I'm able to like parry him like 6 times and kill him, which I mean is a little bit of an anticlimactic end of the run, but I mean, I'm probably always going to use this strategy on Gwyn, because I mean, it's easy. That's just the unfortunate truth. But with that, I was able to beat Dark Souls 1 with only the Lifehunt Scythe. Now, it was a little easier than I thought, but I mainly just did this because you guys seemed to like it when I did it in Dark Souls 3, so I just thought you'd like to see it again. And if you did like seeing it again, maybe drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And I usually try to upload every weekend, so see you guys in the next one. Bye.